Right, yesterday, Florida school shooter Nicholas Cruz was held without bond on 17 counts of premeditated murder. Here's what his defense attorney, Melissa McNeil, had to say after his court appearance.
He's a broken human being. He's a broken child. It's just the sadness that this community is feeling. I mean, my children they go to school in this community. I feel horrible for these families, and Mr. Cruz feels that pain.
Here to talk about that is Dr. Sally Satel. She's a psychiatrist at the Yale School of Medicine and a resident scholar with the American Enterprise Institute. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Satel. So he's aware of what he did and is a broken man, says his defense attorney. What do you make of those comments?
Oh, I think they're both true. I think the signs, as they say, were evident for quite a while. 37 calls for domestic disturbances to his house with his mom within 5 years, being expelled from school, and before that, not being allowed to bring a backpack lest there be bullets or a knife. The other students had always felt that either intimidated, or I should say threatened by him, menaced by him, or a sense that something was deeply wrong. And then, of course, that FBI, the FBI was informed about this post that he made about him wanting to be a professional school shooter. So that certainly indicates a broken person.
Right.
We don't know how that came about, and it's always somewhat mysterious. We don't know if he has a classic psychotic illness. So far, it doesn't look that way. But I actually think we don't have a lot of information on his psychology. He didn't complete mental health evaluation, and I think that's one of the big problems here, is that nothing was ever completed or followed through in his case.
Right, and I wonder, as a mental health professional, does it concern you when the conversation always is now seemingly jumping to mental health after a mass shooting like this, which is awful? And of course, we should be concerned with people's mental and emotional health, and that can be an indicator. But does it risk stigmatizing even further people with mental health issues that might be, there is a scale of severity here. People maybe are not going to come forward with things like anxiety or depression, et cetera, because they think everyone's going to look at them like they're the next mass shooter. What's your view on this insofar as it stigmatizes people more?
Well, I really don't think the profession has seen drops in people coming in for care. In fact, some people might think, I don't want this to happen to me. That's highly unusual. What we've seen, it's dramatic and it's sensational, it's horrific, but it is rare. But you could just as much imagine somebody thinking, my goodness, I better get this under control at this point. But you're right, it does add to the impression that people with mental illnesses are dangerous. But the facts are, and we're talking now about psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia or bipolar illness, and we don't know, and I don't suspect that this gentleman has those conditions. But those individuals, if they're untreated, are indeed somewhat more dangerous. So that's just a fact that we have to be honest about. But it is true that people with mental illness, especially when it's treated and it's psychotic illness, are no more dangerous than the rest of the population.
Right, such a great point. So just quickly to wrap up, we have to wrap up here, but they recently announced that they're destroying the school building where the shooting happened. Do you think that will help the students in the community cope after this horrible tragedy?
That's an interesting, it's all so fast. I think people should make these kinds of decisions with a little more time. But maybe that is something that'll be valuable to them. I certainly wouldn't stand in the way of something they want to do. I can't imagine that would be constructive. But the best thing for the community is to stay together as they are, get as much accurate information to them as possible, maintain their schedules. A lot of these kids are seniors. They better go off to college. They have to keep things going. The next few weeks are going to be very tough, no question. And it helps if they coalesce around some sort of cause. And you hear a lot about gun control. It can take many forms, but maybe something constructive could come out of this if they all coalesce around that issue as well.